Welcome to Surfside Stories. I am so proud and so happy to have in the studio here today the one and only, the professor, Mr. Harold Ballard.
What an honor it is, Wade.
Wayne, so glad to have you here, brother.
All right.
You know, everybody knows who Harold Ballard is now.
They do.
We listen to you on Beach Wave Radio. We have known you in a lot of other capacities. But what we don't know is, how did you get started in the entertainment industry? And how did you make the transition into beach music? So you take it and you run with it.
How far do we need to rewind
Day one. Your first day that you turned on a microphone and spoke into it.
Well, that would be August 31st, 1968, in the Wilmar Park section of Concord, North Carolina. WGTL was the station. They're no longer in existence, but they were back then. Even before there was a Carolina Mall, there was a Cabarrus Country Club across the street, a little radio station. And that's where I started when I was 16.
I had forgotten about that station, and I grew up in Concord.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell everyone, not only will we talk about broadcasting, you'll also get some really neat Concord stories for no additional charge.
Love it. Do it.
Yeah.
Run, buddy.
So, well, I've been interested in it all my life. I mean, to go back to even early childhood. Probably the biggest influence on my music taste was my daddy. Because anytime we were in the car together, the radio was on. And especially at night, because he had a favorite radio station. WLAC Nashville, 50,000 watts. And there was a gentleman that came on at night called John Richburg, John R. And he was one of the pioneers of playing rhythm and blues music on radio. In fact, he was one of the first inductees into the Carolina Beach Music Hall of Fame posthumously. His influence on what we now call beach music is just insurmountable. And from there, that was one of those cases where me with my 6-transistor radio and the earphone, I'd be listening to John R. and the Hoss Allen late at night on WLAC. And, probably not with parental sanction. Because, boy, you're supposed to be getting some sleep and going to school. But, being radio crazy happened at an early age, and then also interested in technology. And that happened because of, anytime the TV would break down, the guys from Carl's Radio and TV Shop on Church Street, Northern Concord, had come by the house. And I still say the most traumatic words a young boy could ever hear at that particular period of time.
And it was.
We've got to take it back to the shop. And when you think about that, most houses, especially for those of us who live around Winecoff School, and, we're not in the upper income bracket, you want to put it that way. We only had one TV set, and if you lose it, Daddy, what are we going to do? You have to go back and listen to radio. Well, we can do that.
Okay.
But that was the foundation of, my interest in broadcasting. And, you know how it was in the 60s. We had all these stations to listen to around Charlotte. This is the days of Big Waves and also WIST in Charlotte, the two top 40 powerhouses. But when Stan and Sis Kaplan rolled into Charlotte, they just knocked everybody upside the head because we never heard radio like that. Especially when Jack Gale got on the mornings, and then you have Long John Silver at night. This is just, it was fantastic. Their first year of being open, they celebrated the 4th of July with a fireworks display at the Concord Drag Strip. And man, that was just like nothing we'd ever seen. And,
Wow.
As time went on, I remember one year for Christmas, probably 1965, I put together a shortwave radio from a kit. And that was probably one of my introductions into engineering and radio maintenance.
So what was this? You built your first radio?
Yeah, in the basement of our house down on Marietta Drive.
Okay.
Right off Kannapolis Highway, down by the railroad track.
Yes.
You know the neighborhood. And that was just an experience right there. And when I finally finished, I turned it on. Yeah, it works.
Wow.
Yeah. And you had all these stations to listen to from around the world. And another influence on beach music. Now I have a big sister that's close to your age. I think you might have her by about a year.
Okay.
She's graduated in 1965. The next to the last class of Wyandotte High School before we had all the school consolidations. My sister Brenda.
Okay.
And one day she brings home this 45 RPM phonograph record, for those of you who might know what those are, of Thank You, John by Willie T. I just about burned the grooves off that thing.
Really?
Yes. And I guess my love for beach music, started right about that point. And then you get to high school, and everybody walking around the halls of Northwest Cabarrus High School, talking about music. Then we heard the Catalines singing "You Haven't the Right."
Wow. Okay.
And all these bands that we used to see on Saturday afternoon on WSOC TV Channel 9 on Kilgo's Canteen. Jimmy Kilgo brought them all to us. We had Bob Meyer and the Rivieras, the Catalinas, Hazel Martin and the Tempest, and just about every garage band from the Charlotte TV and radio market who wanted to be stars would come to Studio A WSOC and be on Kilgo's Canteen.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Fond memories. I was happy we could get Jimmy.
A few of those.
I was happy we could get Jimmy inducted into the Carolina Beach Music Hall of Fame in 2013. A lot of credit on that goes to Judy Walters. I was happy to help her out on that too.
Okay.
But to see Jimmy's face that day and to know that, his former guest that used to come be on the canteen with him, we remembered and wanted to give it back. And it was very, very happy time.
Okay.
So, continuing on, I went on and, worked radio part-time. Also worked at WRKB in Kannapolis afternoons, 1969 and 1970. Attended the North Carolina High School Radio TV Institute in Chapel Hill, 1969. And after graduating, went on to UNC Chapel Hill and worked in the campus radio station, and also knew a lot of people who worked in the Raleigh-Durham market part-time. There was this fellow named Rigdon Dees. You know a bit about Rick Dees.
Okay. Okay.
This is year before Disco Duck. But he was one of my classmates, as was my friend Bill Leslie, who was for years morning anchor of WRAL TV.
Okay. What?
And there was a lot of people who were in the radio TV department who went on to bigger and better things. And
they were successful.
Yeah. And after finishing in Chapel Hill, I had my first radio job in a place I had never been to before, Fairmont, North Carolina, if you know anything about Robeson County, southeast North Carolina, right on the border.
Very well.
They had a radio station, was still there, but in a different form, of course. WFMO, it was on 860 kilohertz, 1,000 watts daytime. But they were far enough away from the Charlotte market and far enough away from the Raleigh market where, we could act like big time radio and just be out in the middle of a soybean field.
Okay.
We had great listenership, and that is where I met one of my mentors. And when you have Danny Lockamy here, he'll back me up on this too.
Okay.
He's another product of the J.W. Pittman School of Beach Music Radio and big time broadcasting.
Okay.
And
Danny's on the list.
Okay. You'll love it. you think I have some things to tell. He'll give you some more. So, I worked with John J.W. for many years, and he pretty much, I think, if anyone helped write the book on beach music radio, in addition to Billy Smith and Ted Bell and a lot of others I could name, J.W. Pittman was another one of them, and he got recognition too in 2001 with posthumous induction to Carolina Beach Music Hall of Fame.
Wow. Okay.
That's something that Danny and I worked on. We were glad to accomplish it. And I had many years. I had 24 years total in radio up until about 1992. I worked probably all over Western North Carolina, primarily Hickory, Lenore, and Morganton, and all that after working in Robeson County. And later on, I got into broadcast engineering when I started.
Tell us about
WIRC and WXRC in Hickory. It was something I was very happy to work my way into because I've always been interested in the technology of broadcasting. How it happened from the microphone to the transmitter. And I tell people, I said, well, I committed identity theft. I actually impersonated a broadcast engineer for several years and got away with it. But I feel like, we did something good with it. And up until 1992, when I transitioned into television, master control. And that eventually led to me being on the staff of probably one of North Carolina's best, WRAL TV5 Raleigh.
Okay.
And I was there for almost 7 years of master control and engineering.
You were there.
Yeah. And from there, I was very fortunate to be there at a time when we were going from analog TV to digital TV in high definition. And we were leaders in that because the man in the boss's chair, his name is Jim Goodman. He is probably one of the best people I have ever worked for. He could always see something coming. He saw the internet coming. He saw HD TV coming. And he was just a visionary. And I'm very happy to work for him. But we were able to beta test all the stuff that they were bringing over from Japan for HD TV purposes. And we'd have people from the NHK and Toshiba and Sony. And I remember one occurrence where we didn't speak Japanese, they didn't speak English, but we all spoke television. So that's how we communicated. And after that, after about 7 years at WRAL, I went to what was then called UNC-TV, University of North Carolina Center for Public Television, now PBS-NC.
Yes.
And after they passed the 2000 University Improvement Bonds, there was money in there to help transition every station in the UNC-TV network to digital and HD. I was very happy and fortunate to be part of that transition. With some good engineering people, we rebuilt a whole brand new network operations center. And that was one of those things, like I said, that was an accomplishment. And
how long did it take to do that?
It took about, all told, I think it took about 1.5 years to make the transition.
Wow.
And now I'll take a note of personal privilege here. In the middle of doing all that, found out I had prostate cancer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I had to go over to Duke University Medical Center and donate them some body parts. And now, me being a UNC alumnus, it's very terrible to have to go to Duke University. But they were good, and they pretty much saved my life. And they were even nice to me when I went over for radiation, which I did on my lunch hour at UNC TV.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Take a little break, go visit with the atomic.
Sorry to hear that happen.
Well,
I understand because I've been down that road.
I knew you had, and I got to visit with the atomic ray gun for a little while, about 5 days a week for 6.5 weeks. We became personal friends. and had some other treatment afterward. Didn't have to go as far as chemo, but I think I survived.
Yeah.
That was 2003, and evidently, the PSA score said that hey, it's probably not that big a problem.
Okay. Yeah.
So after all that, I was extended the offer to come join the startup team for Discovery Television's brand new facility in Sterling, Virginia, which is right next to Dulles Airport in the tech corridor. They were going to a facility where they would control all their own programming. All up to that point, they had contracted out to other vendors to distribute all their channels, but they built this facility that at first glance looked like the bridge in the Enterprise.
Okay.
I'm looking for the transporter room when we first go up there. And my wife Marilyn looks at me. She said, "When are we moving?" I said, because she just saw that look in my eyes.
Yeah.
I gotta have this. So we went to Northern Virginia for about 3 years and had a great time. I was working with probably some of the best TV people ever because this crew had experience in all the national networks.
Okay.
Some of them came from Turner in Atlanta. Some came from Stars Encore. And some came from ESPN.
Okay.
These were the heavy hitters.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm thinking, I said, well, how'd I get in here? I'm thinking they're going to ask.
They wanted only the band.
Well, I'm thinking, I said, they're going to look for my credentials here in a minute. But fortunately, no, I was very happy and very confident to be there because before we even put it on the air, we had several months of road testing before anything ever went to actual TV.
Okay.
We had to work the bugs out of a bunch of equipment. You know how that is.
Oh, yes.
So we did all that, and then in 2008, well, before that even happened, while we were there 2005 until 2008, my wife Marilyn was teacher in the Prince William County schools there around Manassas and Woodbridge. Okay. And I'll brag on her some here. She was awarded.
Yeah, please do.
She had Teacher of the Year for one year that we were there. And so she's good at what she does.
You married up then, didn't you?
I certainly did. And it got to be 2008, and I had an offer to come back home. And got thinking, I said, well, Mama's getting older. And I thought we needed to be close to family. Marilyn agreed. Okay. And so we came back, and I joined what was then Lincoln Financial. This is getting into some of your familiar territory here because your daughter works in the same building. Yeah. But they were going to a system where after Jefferson Pilot was absorbed by Lincoln Financial, they were wanting to take all of their TV stations and control them from one point there in the big building at number 1 Julian Price Place. Okay. So we had a facility to where we were running master control for WBTV, WWBT Richmond, NBC 12, WCSC Charleston, South Carolina, and news station WMBF in Myrtle Beach.
Ooh, me with that one too.
Yeah, so we were actually master control for all of these. And that went on. It was a little experiment that Raycom carried on after they bought the place. Yeah. And we were running the 4 stations until they decided, and was one of those decisions at the corporate level, that we're going to just give master control back to the individual stations, and we'll just be part of the WBTV staff. Okay. So I was the morning master control and also a part of engineering at WBTV from 2012 to the time I retired in 2018. And I can't wait for when Bo and Beth and the whole WBT morning crew come back down here to the beach, get me in here, and we'll start comparing notes. They probably heard. Well, I don't know if they may have heard my voice before, because I was usually the guy that anytime Gayle King would mess something up on the CBS Morning News, well, I probably said a couple of things I shouldn't have. It may have been heard throughout the building. I mean, Bobby Sherry may have heard me. There is a little bit of separation between the TV area and the radio area. I'm thinking, I said, I better calm down here. But I mean, it's like they have a specific roll cue, and she would always mess it up.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The train of thought would go somewhere else. And I've already hit the button, and now Conklin's talking. Thinking, I said, how am I going to do a clean rejoin on this? Because I'm about 14 seconds early. But that's showbiz.
Oh, yeah. That's the entertainment industry.
It is, and I carried that knowledge on to other facets.
How long did you stay in that position?
10 years. Well, all told, I was there from 2008 to 2018, but the first 4 years was devoted to what we call the Master Control Hub. I was more in charge of the NBC side, which was NBC 12 Richmond and WMBF.
Okay.
And the CBS side was WCSC Charleston and WBTV. But my main involvement was for the NBC side up until the time they decommissioned the facility, and then I went over to be WBTV morning master control operator, and probably in name only, I think I was sort of de facto weekend manager, mainly because my boss didn't want to work weekend. So guess who? Competency has its privileges and all. There's a downside too.
So you stayed with this then until 2018?
2018.
So where did you transition to there?
Horry County, South Carolina.
Hey, that's where we are now.
That's right, because Meryl told me I'm retiring at the end of the year. You coming? I said, well, I think so.
So that was her retirement.
Yes, she had been teaching in Gaston County for several years. When we moved back to Charlotte, her first few years was in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools at Cornelius Elementary. But then she had an opportunity to branch out and move over to Gaston County and taught at W.C. Friday Middle School, named after the great Dr. Friday, who I also worked for at UNCTV, and I consider him one of the greatest people ever in education and broadcasting. So she was there for many years as science and math teacher up until 2018 when it got retirement time. So we're sort of like how the family packed it all up and moved, and we brought it down here.
So what you did move into when you got here? How did you transition to what job?
Well,
you take a break, or
I took a little break because we were getting things stabilized with the new house. The beach bungalow, we call it.
Yeah, okay.
And we were, had to make some additions to it. And while we did all that, I remember in 2018, my mom passed away in 2018.
Okay.
And a couple of days after that would be the induction ceremony for the Carolina Beach Music Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And I wanted to be sure that I was there for that. So, after we wrapped up everything in Kannapolis, we came on back down here. And that one was special to me because another one that I had pushed for, James Jamerson, the great bass player of Motown, he was inducted that year, possibly.
Okay.
And also another one, Jim Stoudemire was.
Oh, wow.
And this was so funny because our friend Rick Lee helped induct him.
Oh, wow. And
it was so funny. Rick's up there making a speech, and he answers the cell phone, and it's Earl Dawkins. He said, "Tell Mr. Hall of Fame he's still got to set up lights for the show." That's one of those great moments of being.
Oh, yes.
And while we were there, I run into a gentleman that I had been listening to, and I thought to myself, I said, "This guy has got it."
Yep.
Mike Worley.
Okay, yeah, the Mike Worley.
And we got talking, and Mike said, "Won't you drop by and sit in on the show one day?" I said, "How are Thursdays?" He said, "Thursdays are fine." So I was sort of a drop-in guest for a little while.
Okay.
And about every 2 weeks, I'd come sit in on Throwback Thursday with Mike. We'd contribute some knowledge, contribute some music.
Funny enough, I remember this because my transition to Horry County was the same year you did.
Okay.
2018. So we grew together down here.
Yes, we did. And you could have brought some barbecue with you.
My sister brings it when she comes.
Okay.
I'll let you know next time.
Well, I was going to say, I still think if you want to open up an extension of Troutman's Barbecue and sell a real cherry lemon sunrock, you'd have to have a Brinks truck to take the money to the bank. I know I'd be there.
I love it, brother. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Well, it got to be, a pretty good thing because, everybody in the beach music world recognizes the fact that surf is the station as far as FM broadcasting goes.
Yes.
Because, that's where Billy Smith has been. That's where Ted Bell had been. Ray Scott. Jason Justice. It's like a who's who of beach music radio. And so I was kind of happy to be in there. In fact.
So how long you stayed there?
2019 until 2023. And I was getting ready to tell you another ironic twist.
Okay.
My last day at WBTV and Master Control, John Hancock invited me to come down to the radio side and let's sit and talk for a little while since this is your last day. And I said, well, Charlotte's most beloved has called, so I must walk down the hall.
If the chance Hancock may come down,
I wish he would.
So we've invited him.
Good. I'd love to see John and Susan. Because, Susan worked with us on the TV side in the news department.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, you never met a bigger Ohio State fan in your life. In fact, every time Ohio State would win a football game, she'd have all kinds of bakery treats in the Hancock kitchen that she'd share with the staff. I said, okay, I guess I need to pull for Ohio State from now on.
Well, let's transition from the surf right quick.
But what I was going to tell you,
okay.
John asked me, he said, what are your future plans? I said, well, there is a radio station in North Myrtle Beach that I've always had my eye on. And I said, that would be 94.9.
Wow, okay.
And so I was very happy.
You predicted.
Well, not intentionally, but I did. And, it was a good time. And then when Mike decided to leave, he was transitioning out. I think he had some opportunity to go into business with his dad and electrical and I think it was home security. And I hated to see Mike go because I thought he was really good for beach music radio.
He was.
But I decided and I put my name in the hat. I said, I'll take Thursdays and I'll do it every week.
Okay.
So, and everybody.
And you did that for a while.
I did. Everybody seemed to be okay with it. I was having a good time. I'd load up my MacBook Pro with the contents of the dilapidated cardboard box, and we would just let it rip.
Why are we down to about 2 minutes? Make the transition right quick down. How are we going to get over to your current job?
Current job, yeah. Well, when things, in radio, there is a saying, we have chosen to go in another direction. So, like I said, I don't own the microphone. I just enjoy the use of it from time to time. But the deal I could get with Beach Waves Radio was that, hey, I do own the microphone as soon as I pay off Mr. Bezos and the crew at Amazon and the control board. And I just decided, okay, we're going to do it this way. I get more creative control and freedom and just made the show my own. And so that's where we stand today. Every Thursday from noon to 3. And I hope you'll listen.
We find Beach Waves Radio. Let's tell them about it.
Okay, beachwavesradio.com, or you can get the app, which is readily available, or you can set it up as a skill on Amazon and get Alexa to play it for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. You can do all that.
And your boss or co-boss happens to be a beach music man himself?
Yes. The two co-owners of Beach Music Radio, my friend Ben Morris, who was also a member of the air staff, Monday nights with Highway 17,
Okay.
and Townsend Link, who is on Tuesday nights with Beach Found and Down. And yeah, he has this band you might have heard of.
I think it's the Pink Slip.
That's them.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, I had auditioned for a position with the Pink Slips band after I was transitioning from the previous job. I told Townsend, I said, well, does my situation qualify me to have membership in the Pink Slips band? He said, what you got? I said, well, I can play sax, but I don't own one. He said, well, you have to.
Kind of like that microphone deal.
Exactly. Yeah. It's founded on something else that I remember. We're talking about the North Carolina Broadcast History Museum. That's in conjunction with the Facebook page that I founded called North Carolina Broadcasting History Project, which I invite any and all of you to check out. And if you'd like to come in, knock on the door and I'll let you in.
Okay.
But on the North Carolina Broadcast History Museum, which is in development, one of my fellow trustees, Dave Lingerfeld from WNNC and WIRC or WXRC Hickory, he owns them, and he told me at one of our meetings, he said, it's better when you own the microphone.
Okay. And you finally decided that was true, and now you own the microphone.
I do.
All right. Listen, I got to tell you,
What?
This has been awesome. Our time is
Are we done?
We're done.
Oh.
But I got to tell you what, this has been so much fun, especially you've been a Concord guy like I was.
Mm-hmm.
You brought back a few memories that I hadn't thought of in a good while, and some of the groups from Kilgo's Canteen, and oh, gee whiz, it's been awesome. And what you went through, and being at Discovery and being at WVT, I mean, gosh, you had a great career. And I am so happy that you were able to come share that with us. People are going to love hearing this.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to let me come down here and, just ramble on for about, a half hour or so.
What did I tell you? It's a conversation that happens to get recorded. That's exactly what this is, and you did a great job.
And I'll tell you, since the statute of limitations has run out on some stuff, I can tell more.
We may have to go for a part two.
And invite all my unindicted co-conspirators.
Thanks again so much for coming out, brother.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next week.